Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. Welcome back to the channel. I found this video of Myron Gaines and Steven Crowder actually debating, should I say arguing or debating about monogamy. Now, these two gentlemen hold diametrically different opinions on this. And we are going to listen in and give you my commentary on this because I think it's very important in the current age and the current cultural dispensation that we listen to both this kind of a more conservative side on the monogamy and more on the, how do I say, more liberal sexual marketplace. So just after you subscribe to the channel, let's get on with this.
One of the things, right? So I have 5 things that I think every guy should have. And I think we might have even had a discussion on this before a couple years back, and it hasn't really changed too much. Make 6 figures a year, at least $100,000 a year as a guy, be 35 years old, have 6 months to 1 year of savings, be in good shape, and have sex with 50 women. Now, this 50 women thing is what has a lot of people.
It's the fifth thing.
Now, let's think about this. Having 100K, if you live in America, 100K, $100,000 a year. That's a good amount wherever you live. Although here, New York, the Californias, it's actually kind of like a lower middle class income because of their ridiculous economies. One of the things that I find a bit, it doesn't work is this. What is 100K? Because most people are actually below 70K. Most people have to commingle resources with their woman or whoever they are dating for them to live the life they want. Of course, you can live a much cheaper life, but most people are trying to live beyond their means. So you'd find that's why there's so much credit debt in the West. It's because most people are trying to live with outside their means. Now, the cities they live, the work that they have to move to, all these are things that you can discuss because sometimes you can move to a cheaper place, but the kind of work you're doing doesn't allow you to move like that. But it's not practical to expect that you'll have 100K. But is he also saying with that if you don't have that, you shouldn't be thinking about relationships per se? That's a question for you to think about.
Yeah, this is what pisses a lot of people off. Now, this 50 isn't a hard and fast 50. I just want it where guys are able to get to a point where they understand women to the point where they don't get into a relationship with a girl and she's telling them like, oh, you're not going to get any nookie unless you take out the trash. Oh, you're not going to get XYZ unless you do this. So I don't want guys to be in a position where their girlfriend or their significant other can leverage sexuality for compliance from them from his perspective.
And that's really put very well. I don't agree generally with this overly promiscuous lifestyle, not because of anything, especially for men, other than how dangerous it is. STDs, unwanted pregnancies, all these things are actually at a higher rate of occurrence when you're promiscuous. The higher your incidence rate, the higher the chance of you getting one of those things, or at least getting embroiled in one of those things. And that's what I've found with promiscuity. Personally, I do not like it because whether it's the risk that you take, and then on top of that, how it will affect you, how you look at general relationships, it's just like watching porn, in my opinion. That when you have too much of something, it actually does interfere with your brain and actually changes your brain chemistry such that you find a lot of men are not even able to be aroused by normal sex if they are used to watching porn. Now, that's one of those things, but I think it works the same way when it comes to promiscuity. But the thing is this, it doesn't affect men as much as it affects women by a wide margin because women are more predisposed to STDs. And also, if they get children, a guy can walk away and you're left with it. And also, what your body has to go through to have kids, STDs, it's a lot worse, and also emotionally, a lot worse than men. Let's continue.
Be giving that to you all the time, and she should be actually the one trying to initiate if you do everything right correctly. And the reason why I say guys need to have these 5 things is because in the age of Instagram, in the age of dating apps, in the age of where women have all these opportunities, relationship and sexual opportunities, you need to be what I call like an entry-level higher status guy. And these 5 things will put you in a position where you can at least be the leadership figure in that relationship where she's going to respect you and most importantly submit to you guys.
The thing is, there are a lot of people from like the third world the men who don't really have a lot of resources, but they still pull a lot of respect from women. So this is also one of those fallacies, because I think it's a Western world thing where it's been distilled down to this. Because even if you look at, say, Mexicans or a lot of the South Americans, the way their women treat them is usually a lot more respectful, and they don't have as much money as, say, Americans. So there's that, but I've never actually, I think it's a cultural thing. If a woman is raised to respect men, she will respect men. But if she's been raised to hate men and disrespect them, as most are these days, she'll just disrespect you irrespective of the position she is. So I don't also agree with this, but it's neither here or there. It can be split either way.
To you. So that's why I say these things. Now, could it be 20 and you'll be fine? Could it be 10? Could it be 1? Hell, could you even be a virgin and maybe understand this stuff? Sure. But what I've realized is, like, most men don't really figure women out until they've had a significant amount of experience. And I've noticed it to be somewhere between 30 to 50. Now,
No, that is not backed by any data. You see, this is not one of those videos. I like Myron a lot, but he also does tend to insert this called data that is not actually been looked at critically. I do not believe it's between 30 and 50. A lot of people do just throw these numbers around, not understanding actually how difficult it is, especially if you are working, especially if you have a lot of things, other things you're doing, especially, there's other things other than getting laid. And you see people who obsess about getting laid, they end up putting women on a pedestal, and they keep on worshipping them, and they end up, not having, how do we say, the results they want. So, yeah.
Do you mean that relationally, or do you mean that sexually?
Sexually, so that you understand women appropriately, so that you can identify. It's like, like we look at World of Warcraft, right? Like, you got to kill the little, like, monsters or whatever, like the shit wants to level up.
I thought we were talking about women. You went to World of Warcraft.
This is the problem
tonight to women.
How many women do you have your World of Warcraft?
Well, you got to kill the, like, little
Do you hear that? That's the sound of all women drying up.
Or like, you spar with a bunch of people in boxing, right? So that when you finally have that final match against the boss, like, you know how to appropriately, duck and weave and, do what you got to do to be able to win the fight. Because I do think, like, when it gets to marriage and long-term relationship, that's going to be the hardest thing for you versus just womanizing. So you need to understand women's strategies and proclivities and everything else like that. So I think having that number and having that experience will, number one, put you in a position where you're attractive, and then number two, give you the prerequisite knowledge and sexuality where women can't leverage sex against you anymore. Because so many guys are like, I got my, I'm going to do whatever she wants, and that's like the beginning of the end.
And it's really, for me, one of the most pathetic positions that a man can find themselves is somebody who can be manipulated by sex. If you're in such a position where a little offer of sex makes you get out of character, spend money more than you would, go out to places you wouldn't, coalesce to what she's saying and agree to things you never would. If you find yourself in that position, you need to step back, because you're not mature enough to handle this kind of relationships. That's just a fact as far as I'm concerned. So for many of you, you need, if you find that the punani is too powerful for you, you need to take a step back. Because what you will do, the amount of bad decisions you'll make under that influence, you might not be able to recover from it. Or it might take you 18, 20 years like children. Actually, like children, it's forever, even if they grow old. Maybe some of you think that's fine or what, but most of the time when you're getting with some children, with people you don't even like, you just wanted maybe a night with them or just casual sex, then you can't really raise the child in the best environment. So you end up raising vagabonds.
Talking with Robert, he says that a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
he says that. I'm like, Robert, you don't understand the dynamics of female-male interplay. But I will say, I get it. And then the Christian right prescription is, hey, you know what? The truth is people figure out sex, and the truth is people who are virgins who get married and then have sex, have fewer partners, are sexually happier. Now, maybe because they don't know what to compare it to.
They are.
But so what? You know what I mean? I also think
ideally,
that
just for clarity, ideally, if a guy and a girl can get together and be virgins, that's the best scenario.
So you would say that too?
Yeah, statistically speaking, that is the best way. But me being pragmatic and understanding how women are nowadays, where the average 21-year-old girl is going to have more sexual partners than the average 21-year-old guy, like, I can't in good faith tell guys to get married as a virgin and them not being destroyed because they don't understand female nature and how women are. And like, unfortunately, the church, religion, society, shame, all these different things that used to be in play back like in 1955 are no longer in play in 2025. And women have no reason to really sit there and submit to you and do what they're supposed to do because.
And this is the thing I was saying about the environment that is conducive for long-term relationships. It doesn't exist anymore. So really, you can't just walk in. While I disagree on some things, he's also right on this point to say that you can't just walk into modern relationships thinking it's the 50s, 60s, or whatever. Because the environment has changed dramatically. The families are no longer together. The community is no longer together. You don't get to know who that person you're dating is beforehand. Because in small communities, or at least when tight communities existed, you would know that's the village bicycle. You know that's the person that I shouldn't talk to. That's the drug addict. You knew these people. So it helped in decision making. But these days, people are chameleons. They'll come to you all giving you their best representative until, of course, a few months or years later, you realize the person that you got with.
They're incentivized to not.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, do you think? So I think you're right. We have identified kind of one of the problems in society.
Dry skin in your.
Is that what it is?
No, it's gone.
All right, thanks. Appreciate that.
Yeah,
I went like this. I scratched my nose right before we went on the show. Yeah, exactly. Do you think though that there is a way to incentivize guys to only look for the right women, and eventually this problem goes away because women won't be able to find any guys because they're not looking for women that are sleeping around. They're actually looking for people that have some character and some the qualities in women that we've always looked for. So instead of incentivize, like saying, hey, go out and sleep with 50 so you understand them, just don't play their game. Just find virtuous women, and therefore we will get rid of this problem by doing that.
This is the thing. It's in terms of populations. I think the percentage of the so-called virtuous women, not the 3 or 4s or the feminist types, it's really too small. And I think even the good ones are easily influenced by the modern culture. Please forgive me, there's something going on around me, so there might be some knocking. But let me continue. It is really the culture that these people live in that directs how they think. So even virtuous women, they'll be few and far between first, and many of them will also be turned by these ideologies to become promiscuous, to think, they only need to chase men for money, because while that is important, it's not the only thing. There are a lot of scumbags with money, isn't it?
The problem with that is that so when women run game, what they do is when they find a guy that they like, they'll sell purity. And
oh yeah, no,
yeah, we all know, like, we sell success.
I've seen those stories,
purity.
yes.
So like my thing is like and this is another reason why.
All right, what about an app, a purity app? Follow me here. No, I'm just kidding.
You could ask some questions to it, and then I can.
Dating a water filter? What is that?
But yeah, like the thing is, you guys need to be able to identify when girls are lying to them and they're selling purity. And this is why I tell guys actually like date a girl for 6 months to a year before you ever like claim her and make her your actual girlfriend and actually getting serious, because
a lot of these decisions are actually just being pragmatic. Even if you're doing business with someone, not just a relationship, you need to understand who they are, how they've dealt in the past, for you to make a more accurate decision whether to deal with them or not. This is just being pragmatic.
You need time to see where she stands in her characteristics. And then another thing I tell guys is like, see if she does acts of service. Like, will she do things for you? And because a good woman is going to come in, see parts of things that you're doing that could be optimized. Like, for example, let's say you like coffee, right? But she shows up at your house, you don't have a good coffee machine. She just takes the initiative and buys you one, right? Yeah. Or she has a cup always ready for you when you wake up. Little things like that, and you don't even have to tell her. Like, that's a really good sign, because now she's becoming like almost, I always say men need to be problem solvers in the real world. Women need to be problem solvers in a household with the guy and making them better, so that they don't have to think about the little things, so they can go focus on the big things. That's where I think a woman is best. And people get mad at me when I say, oh yeah, she needs to basically be your assistant. But I truly do think like women thrive in that assistance role, because it puts you as the masculine leader and the dominant figure. It puts her as the subservient, which is what they want anyway. And she's helping you become better. And I think that's like the best way it can go. But guys won't be able to identify these types of women or be able to figure this out until they date them for a good amount of time and see where she stands with these types of things.
Do you think, because you said women's nature, and again, we would agree on the descriptions, maybe not the prescriptions, where I still think finding a chaste woman is ideal, but I also agree, blind spot, women lie in the modern world, because sometimes they're going against.
They lie a lot. It's not the women, that they lie a lot. In fact, in my experience, I meet with more lies than honesty. Unfortunately, when they are most honest is when they're asking you what you will give them for punani. So normally, if I'm just paying them or taking them out or doing what, I know they're asking for payment for a certain thing. So that's as honest I do. But then there are these ones who sell purity. So they are lying. They're scumbags, obviously.
Put it that way. They don't want to be dime store whores. A lot of them don't, right?
I
But
agree.
they've been told that it's empowering. And so sometimes women are trying, the same way that guys who simp and say, hey, I'm soft, I'm sympathetic, I'm sensitive, they're trying to fill an archetype that they have been told is appealing, which actually flies in the face of our nature sometimes.
Yeah.
And we see more people who are sort of acting anti-naturally, women acting masculine, acting tough, boss babe, and men, and I don't want to use the term beta, but men acting weak and subservient.
Beta.
And no one's happy because it's all a fake out.
No, you're actually precisely correct. I say it all the time. Feminism is the blue pill for women, right? So for men, right, blue pill guys are simps, feminine, think that women can lead and, they can, do certain masculine things and they can like defer that to her. Like, yeah, it's okay if my girl like bosses me around and tells me what to do, like, cause they're idiots and they don't understand female nature. Same exact thing with women. Women, the blue pill for women is feminism and thinking that chasing a career, acting like a man, being masculine, challenging your husband or challenging your man is like, empowering. That is the blue pill for them. And they bite it even worse because advertisers and society in general, like women are easier buyers. Like they're the target demographic for advertisers because women are the consumers.
Yep.
They like to extract value, and with them, they are you. When I always say like when you lie, women buy. Mm-hmm. And that's what they do. That's why, like with the Gillette commercial, we can even put in the clip here if you guys want.
Which one, the tranny mustache one, or the one the guy's like, you shouldn't actually tell the woman she's hot? Which one?
Boys will be boys.
The one, the boys will be boys one.
Yeah.
Bullying, a problem among kids here in Indiana. And now
This Gillette lost a huge percentage of their customer base with this ad, and I was so happy how men just decided, what are you doing? I'm giving you money and you're talking nonsense to me with feminist propaganda on ads? How?
We can't hide from it. We can't laugh it off.
who's the daddy?
Impact sales.
What I actually think.
Making the same old excuses.
Boys will be boys.
Boys will be boys.
Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. And in that commercial, I love to use that because that commercial exemplifies the problem that we're in. We have a men's razor company, right? A men's razor company literally shitting on their target demographic of customer to appease to women. And if that doesn't prove that women are the majority consumers and they run, we live in a gynocentric society, I don't know what else does. And I always tell people like, well, they're like, oh, why is that a big deal? Men do need to be better. A lot of guys are, toxically masculine, whatever. Because that was one of the commercials that pushed this whole toxic masculinity thing. And I'm like, all right, well, what if Victoria's Secret did a commercial saying, hey, stop being sluts. Stop cheating on your boyfriend. Stop being attention whores on Instagram.
And that's where you realize the difference, because they might well and good say, oh, men need to be better. Oh, that's why we have all these channels and everybody trying to make everyone better. But they will never do it for the women. Everything the woman does, being promiscuous, oh, great empowerment. Being really just an annoying, arrogant person, oh, she's being strong. So there's always the double standard, which we should understand, but also which we must not tolerate. Don't tolerate double standards that have been instituted, not natural. That you're trying to be socialized to become more subservient to women, because that's what a lot of men have done, and just to have access to punani. I keep saying that. I know it sounds pathetic, but it's true. Many of us know it's true.
Like, start making those goddamn sandwiches. Do you think Victoria's Secret would have a problem? They probably would. They'd
We'd all be losers
broke.
because it would be out of business.
Yeah,
And I don't want that to happen. It's one of the few, like that and Yankee Doodle Candle Store. Those are the only reasons I go to the mall, usually by myself. One point I would say is I agree.
Spencer.
One fundamental difference, though, and I think you would agree with this, but single men are very large consumers. Once they are in a nuclear family household, women are the consumers. So the marketing changes when they're single. Men tend to buy a lot of things, electronics, cars, toys, right?
Sure.
Once you're married, it's often women. And here's how I know I got a good woman. She's Latina. By the way, they're all nuts. But she buys men's razors. And I go, why? She goes,
Yeah.
it's cheaper. It's the exact same thing. And that's how you know she's not a feminist, because women go, the pink tax, get a black razor, bitch.
Yeah.
You don't have to have 18 strips in Venus, people singing, doing synchronized swimming in the commercial. It's literally a tax on a color that costs more to produce and you pay more. You could just buy a plain black razor.
Yep.
And mine does. And that's why, she doesn't have to cover up the bruising with makeup. But
Now, this is the thing. This Stephen Crowder, if you are aware, he did get divorced, and his wife really went ham feminist on him and tried to destroy his reputation with lies in some really cleverly edited security videos. Anyway, you can search for that and you'll find it. Yeah. So the thing is, he's back on the saddle. I do understand that for a lot of men, you need to have women around, and it's just as long as you are fully aware of what you're getting into and the cons and the pros. I mean, fine, but that's him.
no, it's like
Sometimes you gotta, you know what I mean? Hey,
I don't
you gotta do.
But I will say, I do think a big part of it is recognizing women who identify that problem, because the truth is all women still have that proclivity of that, no matter what happens, but recognizing that, hey, we do tend to be more emotional. Hey, men are in positions of leadership. And the way I sort of present it when I discuss this with women is I go, you think leader, follower. There's no unit that exists in a business, in government, in the military where there isn't a hierarchy. So how about, hey, this guy's a general and you're a colonel?
Yeah.
Meaning,
Now, I'm going to stop that video there and leave the link down below, but this is what I wanted to get to. The thing is with the hierarchies, yes, they're not trying to remove the hierarchies. They're trying to flip it on its head. They're trying to put the women at the top and the men at the bottom. They've done this and they've succeeded to some level, except at the top where the hyper competition is. Because with there, it is difficult to just simply DEI your way in. You actually have to pull the weight, so you find even thinner numbers of women at the top. But where functionaries, say like in offices, they've basically replaced all men there. So what has remained is actually the jobs outside the offices, the jobs that actually keep society moving. And that's what has really maintained men's, the men's relevance. Because if the other way of replacing all the men, which they're trying, robots, AI, whatnot, that's for everyone actually, but more so men, if you're able to do that, then you can reduce their power in terms of the politics and decision making. They're easier to and more malleable. Not as malleable as women, but women are but men that have less power, don't have the financial muscle or the opportunity, or at least even just a dream, are much easier to manipulate. You've seen a lot of these male feminists running all over the place talking their nonsense. It's because they're trying to stay competitive. Remember what women choose for. So these men know they can't get to the levels where these women automatically choose them. So they have to become kind of subservient to these women so that they can have access. Don't be that guy. Be the guy that is always trying to compete to overcome the most powerful, the men who are better than you. Always try to be as good or better. Trust me, the process of trying to get as good as the best will get you to a very competitive position. I don't know what you think about this video. Please leave a comment down below. And of course, like the video and subscribe to the channel. And until next time, peace.